My vengeance ends now.
I'll just call it the first video. I've gotten back into the game Paladins because of some changes they've made, kind of reverted a lot of things. So I thought I'd give a little shout out to the game and sort of maybe help some people who haven't played the game before or don't know what it's about. Sort of show it off a little bit. We're going to go through the tutorial.
Welcome to the basic
I'll
tutorial,
probably at least do one
champion.
practice match, maybe not in this video, but in another one. But I'm going to go through the tutorial and sort of give you
let's go over movement.
a little rundown of stuff you do before the matches and getting ready and all that stuff. So you start off with the Victor character.
You can move forward.
Now, if you don't know what Paladins is, it's a lot like Overwatch. In fact, when they both kind of came out right about the same time, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube you can watch where they accused each other of ripping each other off. There's a lot of characters can be kind of similar, both design and abilities. But anyways, Overwatch costs money. Paladins didn't really cost anything. So I got more into Paladins, and to be honest, I've heard different people say that sometimes they prefer Paladins better. So, but I'm going to do this one here. Like I said, we start as Victor. I call it the Call of Duty character, because you're going to see very soon that pretty much all of his abilities pretty much make you feel like you're playing a Call of Duty character, because not every character is going to have these abilities. I don't really see why I need to show you guys how to move around.
Excellent.
But of course you can change your sensitivities and all that stuff too. You can also change your aim assist. This tutorial is probably going to seem really familiar, at least especially to Call of Duty people.
Let's begin combat training. First, let me walk through some information on your screen. You will find your health displayed
But yeah, we got your health down at the bottom left, of course. Each character's got different health. There are different classes in here, which we have front lines, damage, flank, and support.
Will create one of her illusions for you to shoot.
I think that's it.
No problem.
So each class usually has, front lines will have a little more health, flanks will have a little more mobility. And right now they're reworking a lot of stuff because we're just about to start season 2. So everything's going to be a little more what I just said, because there's a lot of kind of weird things. So like pretty much every shooting game now, R2. Not every character has increased head damage. Victor's definitely one. A lot of the flankers will have increased head damage. And then like each character also has different fall off damage. Some don't have any at all. So
aim the crosshairs in the middle of the
like I said, this one's like sort of Call of Duty. Your second ability, which we'll show here in a little bit.
Excellent. Now let's go over your abilities.
Yeah, we got a grenade,
throw a frag grenade,
and you can cook it. Just like in Call of Duty.
Launch your frag grenade to hit all targets in the area.
And they do pretty good targeting. Well
done.
Targeting, but
note that you will have to wait a short time.
And there's sort of a MOBA aspect to this game too. We'll go into. They do have an item store, and here pretty soon we'll show you the
activate hustle to move even faster.
The loadout systems that actually can change things like really like how you play. Damage numbers, they add extra abilities sometimes. But an interesting with Victor, you hold R1 to sprint.
To the next area.
But again, if you're going to play this game, you're going to start off trying to master Victor. His sprint pretty much has almost no cooldown, unlike say his grenade. But you can actually, at least on the PS4, you can actually click
Excellent.
L3,
Follow
the
Ying
left
to the
joystick,
next
just
area.
like you're sprinting in pretty much almost every game nowadays that has a sprint. Okay, now let's see. I think we got a couple more things that'll sort of
Excellent. Follow
show you
Ying
the
to
end of the
next
Call
area.
of Duty stuff. I'm calling the Call of Duty stuff. Also, it shows you another
Nice.
Overwatch.
Your next ability is Iron
Yeah,
Sights.
this is. There
Hold
may be
down
one other
iron
character,
sights
but
to aim
most of the
down
characters
the
don't
sights
have
of
the
your
ability to aim
weapon.
down the sights.
Using Iron Sights is a great way to target enemies farther away.
And Victor's is fully automatic, so you want to burst shoot.
Hold down iron.
And there's
Nice
actually
shooting.
certain loadouts
Now,
that will
let's go
increase
over your
hipfire
ultimate
damage, and
ability,
other ones that will
Barrage.
increase
Your ultimate ability is your most
your iron
powerful
sight damage.
ability.
Now, like
and can
Overwatch,
turn
you
a
have an
fight in
ultimate
your
ability
favor.
that you have to charge
You
up.
must fully charge your
Some
ultimate
characters
ability
do. I
before
think the
you can use
supports
it.
actually can help
You
charge up
your
the ability
ultimate by
with
dealing damage to
healing
enemy
and
players.
stuff too, but I wouldn't quote me on that. I can definitely tell you that doing damage will increase the percentage of your ultimate.
You charge your ultimate by dealing damage to enemy players. When Barrage is active, aim in the direction of an
Okay,
enemy.
and again, this is
fire
going to be very
trigger a blast.
Call of Duty. His is basically you call in an orbital strike.
Well done. You have completed your basic combat training.
Oh, yeah.
They seem to have changed the tutorial since I played it before. Used to, they would go through the basics of Siege. But for those who don't know, in a Siege map game, you go to a checkpoint, and it's always the same checkpoint, and you have to hold the checkpoint for 100%. Of course, if enemies are in the checkpoint, it stops. There's an overtime mode where if they're close enough, they can kind of keep it from chunking up, and you just kind of have to clear everybody away. Once a checkpoint has been taken over, a payload, which is basically a cart full of like explosives, shows up and starts marching towards the enemy's base. And then you basically have to escort it. Same thing, you have to get close to it to keep escorting it. Again, there's sort of like you can have an overtime mode if you're not quite, because there's basically a time limit for doing things, and if you can stay close enough, it will go into overtime. Because there has to be a winner. You get a point for taking the objective. You get a point for escorting the payload. If you're on defense, actually, even though you lose a point for losing the objective, you do gain a point for successfully defending the payload. And you can't win on a defensive point. So if you're at 3 and they're at 3 and you defend, you won't get it. You have to take the objective or escort the payload. So that's your basic Siege. There's also the Onslaught mode, which is basically a checkpoint mode. They put a checkpoint, you get on the point, you have to get 400 points, basically. There's also a Team Deathmatch mode, which I think is the first to 40. So if you're playing, you can do your training matches. Now, also like Overwatch, when you do these matches, you will get paired up with some AI teammates. Not always. You can usually tell because I believe most of any human teammates will have the little audio thing on it, and they're almost always the AI are just one word, capital letters, lowercase letters. Most screen names are pretty obvious. I mean, they usually have letters and numbers and that kind of stuff. There's actually a shooting range, which I think I probably will show you here in a second. Like I said, here's Team Deathmatch, Onslaught training, Siege training. If you're doing play right now, this is the two. They're probably going to make some more changes here. Also, maybe do some arcade type modes. Siege is the basic gameplay, and then Deathmatch basically is all the other game modes put together. And then they do have, once you get to level 15, you can do ranked, which is pretty cool. But we'll go into the shooting range so I can show it to you real quick. Just like Smite, you only start off with so many characters. You collect gold and stuff, and VIP points and gems, and then you can use it to buy characters. It's a lot more easier to master your characters now. You can actually use leftover gold to help level up characters, because you're about to sort of see a basic loadouts and stuff. This is sort of how I'm going to explain how you can change up your character. But I do believe in this mode that even if you don't have all the champions, you can practice with them, which is nice. I'll probably go ahead and here's all the characters. I'm probably gonna stay with Victor, so I don't want to do guides. But here you go. You have a talent right now. Each one has 4. If you're a new player, you only start off with 1, and as you master your champion, every like 2 levels or so, you gain another talent. They're also talking about adding more talents. Since I've been with Paladins since the very beginning, even though I stopped playing for almost a year, pretty much anybody who had the ultimate talents got to keep them, which is nice. So let's say they have one for increasing grenades. Most of the talents and most of the cards single around different abilities on how, and basically amplifying or enhancing their abilities. So like while you're sprinting, you gain health, gain 15 bonus damage while iron sights, gain 30 bonus damage while hip firing, that kind of stuff. And then you also, and I'll show you how to do this before this video ends, you get up to 5 cards, and you can see the little numbers in the corner. That basically is like the level of your card. Your cards can go up to level 5. So like the 200 health on like level 1 is like 50. And then for every level up you get to 100. And I'll show you what goes on there. So not only do you have your loadout, not only do you have your talents, but you also have this item store. And you can only pick 1 from each section. So there's defense, illuminates to help with stealth. You're pretty much only going to use it if you have an enemy stealth. Resilience, reduce the duration. I know it sounds really good. A lot of people don't really use them because, I mean, most of the time there's only a few seconds anyways. And blast shields and Haven are usually so much better. Haven is for direct attacks, so like Victor is a direct attacker, but there are certain characters that have area effect, like they basically shoot out bombs. They'll reduce that. Your utility is mostly with speed and stuff. Master Rider, I haven't showed you yet, and I'll show you in the practice match, but when you start off the game, you actually ride a horse, or in my case, I do believe I'm riding a saber-tooth tiger. This will increase the mount speed. Moral Boost creates the ultimate charge. Nimble just increases your movement speed, and Kratos is cooldowns on all your abilities. Then you have your healing. Rejuvenate receives 10% more healing from other players. I probably wouldn't use it, especially when I'll show you a card below here that'll basically ruin that. Veterans heal for an additional 4% of your max health in a combat. Much like Call of Duty, if you're out of combat for a while, you'll heal up automatically. It's a little slower than Call of Duty, but it's still pretty quick, so there's really no reason to use that. These are 2 you'll probably use: Kill to Heal, kill when you get an elimination, and Life Rip is basically life steal. Here's another one: Bulldozer, increased damage against deployables. It started out pretty useless. I want to say it could be better now. There's Nara's Wall, which is kind of like Ymir's Wall from Smite. Pretty annoying. You can basically ruin Barrack, who's a turret guy. You can ruin his day, because a lot of barracks will put, they'll increase the health of the turrets and make it to where they can spout turrets off more often. But they can only have 2 up at once anyways. And once you ruin their turrets, Barrack isn't as useful. But it's just the problem is it's not as good as the other ones. The other one, they do have a reload speed. Again, it's just not, it sounds really good, but it's not as good as the other ones. Plus, most characters have a card that will increase reload speed. But these are your 2 big cards, and honestly, these are a lot of times will be one of the first ones you'll get. Cauterize decreases healing. Like I said, there are classes, and almost all the time, pretty much any time you're going to play a serious match, there's going to be a healer on the other team. But Wrecker will decrease shields, and depending on who they're playing, there's quite a few frontliners whose shields are pretty potent, including there's one that's kind of like Geb from Smite, where he can put a shield on somebody else. So if you're a damage or you're a flank, Wrecker might actually be a pretty good one. I think a lot of people probably just use Cauterize just because it helps decrease all that. But you can do these. You can have I said Victor would have full life rip. I probably would use Wrecker. I like Victor's ultimate a lot. It's very big damage if you can pull it off. And especially since his almost all of his cooldowns are pretty low anyways. You don't really need it. Plus, I'll show you here in a little bit some of the cards that some of the characters have that basically, well, some of them will eliminate cooldowns to 0 with certain advantages. So the shooting range has these two. These are 2 pips. They're supports. The idea, of course, is that this really small characters are hard to hit, so it's a good place to practice. It's really not. You're really going to be using the shooting range to test out new characters and abilities, and also to help with loadouts. This section right here, it actually gives you an ally. You can press this and it'll give you an auto shooter. This way you can practice helping. If you're a support, you can help see how the health heals work. Some have shields. One character has a counter, so this is a good way to practice that. You can turn it off too. This one is a way to get different characters. Sky and Ying are pretty squishy, so they're much easier to kill. But Fernando, of course, is a frontliner, and you can see it takes a little while longer. Usually one of the areas I tend to pick is over here, because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a way to kind of focus on how quickly you can kill 5 characters. Because just like in Smite, you get the triple kills and the quadra kills. And I do believe they have hexa kills in here, yeah. So it's a good way to kind of practice around. You know, you can practice turning. And it's also an easy way to charge up your ultimate. So that's pretty much it for that. What's really nice here is, unlike Smite, you have to go all the way back to the main menu and queue up another training session. Here you can just hit press start and change your champion. So yeah, we got frontline, flank, damage, support. That's it. Okay, I was making sure it was just the 4. But each class is pretty fun. Even the healing classes.
I must spend the credits.
Like, I think Overwatch is the problem. There's quite a few healing classes in Overwatch. I don't like going around just shooting my allies the whole time. Honestly, I think a lot of the support classes in Overwatch don't even have a lot of CC. And here's Saris, where she basically has Zeus's ability from Smite, where when you're attacking, you can stack up to 4, and then there's an ability that basically gets rid of the stack but gives them a big burst of damage. So, and they are going to reduce some of the damage to the supports, but it still feels much more satisfying. And then she also has like an invisibility / invulnerability, and her big thing is she has a really, really good heal. And from pretty far away too. And then on top of that, her ultimate is a very supporty ultimate. Basically, she throws a big ball in the middle of a room, and units within a certain amount of distance get sucked in. This can be comboed with a lot of people's abilities, but actually even combos well with her own abilities. So for those who think, oh, I'm going to get stuck playing support and that's not going to be any fun, because like even Smite sometimes has that problem. Certain supports really just aren't that fun to play unless you have that mentality of helping people. So real quick, we're going to return. I'm going to show you exactly a loadout And I'm going to use Androxus. He's sort of one of the title characters that you'll see a lot. And I'll show you kind of a fun, just an idea of one of the fun things you can do. So you can go to your champions, Androxus, you got the overview. You actually have quests to start off with, at least it was when I was going, where you do these quests and you get the lore. I've caught up on all that. Right now, the skins work in pieces. So, you know, head, chest, weapons and stuff, but they're about to be changed to where it's all one. There's a lot of technical aspects to it. From what I understand, basically, like in Smite, if you do a big skin, they have to sort of change the whole model in order to do it. You know, tier 2 skin is really just a recolor. But when you're doing bits and pieces like this, you can't really remodel any of it, because if you want a tier 4 head with a tier 2 chest, it wouldn't work. So hopefully that's what that'll solve. And then we do have sprays in Smite. You just, I believe it's the left directional button. You just hit against the wall or floor, and it kind of gives you a little spray, which just kind of reminds me of Tony Hawk. But yeah, you can do all the, that gives you all the abilities and all those talents that you have. But we'll start with a new loadout. Like I said, you'll see 4 corners. Each one is, usually you have 3 abilities, and then your other one is sort of like gain reload speed, or a lot of them have gain health and that kind of stuff. But here's some of the crazy stuff. Reversal, where I can go back up. Reversal is pretty cool. It basically absorbs all shots, and then you fire it back at them. It's pretty easy to counter, but there's also a talent over here where basically reversal will at least deal 800 damage. So that's kind of a neat little thing. And it got it fell away for a while, but it kind of came back, because one of the things you can do with reversal is you can really increase the stuff like ammo, and you can really increase the cooldown. Like, here we go. Hitting a target with reversal reduces the cooldown of the Nether Step ability, which is basically this ability to where you can, like, you kind of glide in any direction, and you can kind of float down. But watch this. You can go and up it to level 4 to have 100% cooldown. So basically, you can Nether Step into the middle of a fight, shoot some stuff, then use your reversal, which acts as a shield. Maybe do some damage, at least 800 if you hit somebody, and then automatically go back into your Nether Step. And there's another talent where basically you're allowed a third dash on your Nether Step. But you can also do stuff like this, increase the distance of each Nether Step. Generates ammo on Nether Step. This is a good one to use. Increases the movement speed. So by increasing the decreasing the cooldown of reversal will also help with your Nether Step. Now, Defiance is just a punch, so I only use it in really close range. So, you know, I might use this. Air control while in the middle of Nether Step would be good. Healing while reversing. Any of the ammos are nice, because, you know, just don't want to always have to be reloading all the time. But yeah, increases. And so this is sort of another step. You may want to max out this. See, the big thing is you have 15 points. So if you max out 2 cards like this, you really only have you can only really up a card by 2, or 2 cards by 1. So I would probably do this and this, and maybe get rid of that. So this way you're going to be hitting your reversal, going straight into your Nether Step. Your Nether Step now has increased distance, and also you'll gain movement speed once you land. So that really sort of changes your playstyle, because if you don't use this, then you're going to be more maybe focused into let me clear all this, because I actually have a loadout right there. But see, here's like their default one. And when you are a new player now, this is one of the reasons why I really want to do this, to get new players in. Now you gain access to all the cards. Used to be you only gain access to basically 5 cards. and then you had to grind for currency and then buy chests to get cards. And then when they finally did give everybody all the cards, they created this system where you had to, in order to level up your cards, you had to buy duplicates. They changed the level from, instead of from like 1 to, I think it used to be 4, they went from 1 to 10. And then on top of that, you can actually buy you can actually buy points with real currency. So it created kind of a pay-to-win system. And even though it really wasn't as bad as some people thought it was, it really did sort of ruin a lot of the casual Paladins matches. Because basically, all of a sudden, instead of being able to like change up your play styles and all that stuff, you basically just had to use whatever cards you had high levels on. And some of those cards were crazy. And then also, it wasn't like one duplicate increased your level. For every level, it took more duplicates. So it wasn't like 10 duplicates increased it. And on top of that, the talents worked the same way. They were considered cards at the time, and you had to level up your ultimates. And it was very rare to get an ultimate card out of a chest. They tried to help by adding like champion chests, so whenever you're mastering your champion, you would get chests that only include cards for the champion, but it was only 4 cards per chest. And then masteries also took a lot longer. So they've changed a lot. They're still changing stuff. But I thought I'd do a little tutorial video on like how to create a loadout, how to use the shooting range, the tutorial, what each game mode is. I'll probably do a practice mode next, probably a commentary type of thing where I'll play a match, since that way I don't annoy all my allies with my voice. So until then, I hope you guys will try out Paladins. I could use some more people to play Paladins with. Also, for those who don't know, they are coming out with the Battle Royal mode. It won't be as Paladin-centric as it used to be, from what I understand, because it used to be basically they were just going to take the champions from Paladins, throw them in a Battle Royal, but it was hard to balance both games, so now they're going to switch things up. But the general overall abilities and that kind of thing is going to stay. So if you kind of like Battle Royale games a lot and you thought it looked kind of cool, you might maybe get started with Paladins now, play a good game as well, and then that way when Battle Royale comes out, you'll at least be familiar with the system. So until next time, Kratos out.